according to the latest number, 300 billion by the year 2035. That's going to from the developed countries to the developing. Without sufficient funding, how can we move to the next step?
For the developing countries, this agreement of UNCQG is a very weak commitment, very weak commitment. That's why we witnessed at the midnight when this adopted, it received very critical comments from a number of developing countries. Now I think the challenge will be how even this 300 billion commitment is weak, but the challenge will be how they are going to be delivered, paid. I think it'll be, we don't need to wait. We need to continue to push the developed country parties to undertake their responsibility for this payment. At the same time, I think in the coming years, as a transitional measure, we need to mobilize the multilateral development banks to be more active. At the same time, we also need to mobilize the private sector for the investment.
I'm on both sides. I'm a global financier. I've borrowed and repaid around 80 billion already, and I'm just getting started, still young. I'm looking at investments which I have around the world, and my dirty grey investments earn me more than my green investments. Now, I don't want to do them just because they make more money. But I'm stuck because I've got shareholders who are saying, make me the most money. So green bonds into China or from China to send Chinese steel industry green saves millions of lives, sends China cities green, and comes down to the cost of money because that is provided with the volume of money we need to make it happen.
I think 300 billion is a great number, right? But obviously it's not enough. But think about it. As you mentioned, if a public-private sector can work together, if we take this $300 billion, put them into the bonds market, we subsidize 1% of green bonds, we're done. The 300 billion will become more than 3 trillion and 30 trillion bonds market now. That would be great and big enough for the whole world. Just so, because we did the studies, we show the risk premiums between the normal bonds and the green, particularly the risk premiums, it's just a little less than 1 percentage point. So if the public funds can support the 1%, we're all done. But we need the 300 billion to be delivered. I think that's the 1%. So public-private sector can work together, leverage on this 300 billion, we can do a lot of good things. The $300 billion, the global committed, if you directly invest in the green project, it's 300 billion, right? Yeah, low cost. But if you leverage on this 300 billion, you make it like a fund to fund. You subsidize 1% of whatever the bonds, make them green bonds, it becomes 30 trillion. It solves almost everything.
Again, what private sector needs, in my opinion, at least in my industry, is we need to avoid overwhelming bureaucracy. We need stable set of rules. We need rule of law. We will do the job. And if we don't do it, we will be replaced, as Andrew said before, by much smarter people than we will.